Hello students, in English, let us continue with lesson 2.4, The Fall of Troy, part 2. Summary. A wise Trojan priest, Laocoon, warns the Trojans that it is a trick. Poseidon, the god of the sea, doesn't want the Greeks to fail. He sends two serpents to crush Laocoon and his sons. Now the Trojans think the gods want them to bring the horse in, so they take the horse inside their gates. The Trojans feast and drink, and after their celebrations they sleep soundly. The Greeks emerge through the gates and start killing the Trojans. King Priam is killed in front of his wife and daughters. All the women become slaves, including Andromache, Hector's wife. Helen leaves in embarrassment with her former husband, King Menelaus. The rich and strong city Troy is in ruins after resisting attack for 10 years. Reading and explanation, The Fall of Troy, Part 2. The Trojans were delighted to hear this. The Greeks have gone, they said, and the walls are no longer necessary. Let us make a hole in the wall and drag the horse in. Their wise priest Laocoon warned them not to do so. It may be a trick that will ruin us, he said. Ruin us means to destroy us. You will bring disaster on the city if you break down the walls. Disaster means calamity. But they were so excited that they paid no attention to his words. They broke down part of their strong wall in order to drag the horse in. All that day, the Trojans feasted and drank and celebrated. After all their celebrations, they went to sleep and slept soundly. But that day of rejoicing was soon followed by a night of terror and death. The Greek ships had not sailed far. As soon as they were hidden by an island, they had lowered their sails and dropped anchor and waited for the night. Dropped anchor means they secured their ships in one place so that they did not move. In the darkness, the fleet sailed back, and the leading ship, which was Agamemnon's, bore a red light high on its masts. The Greek who was watching for the return of the fleet crept to the wooden horse and gave the signal. The side of the horse opened. The Greeks climbed out and opened the gates. The whole Greek army entered the sleeping city. Immediately the Greeks set fire to houses, towers, and palaces and began to burn and kill. Troy was filled with the sight of leaping flames and the sound of shouting and the noise of weapons and the cries of weeping women. The sleeping Trojans sprang out of their beds, but they were taken by surprise. Their enemies were right inside their walls, and many of the Trojans were killed before they could put on their armor and seize their weapons. A bright light lit up the night sky as palaces and houses, temples and towers went up in flames. That is, they were burned down. The Trojans fought as well as they could, but it was all in vain. That is, without any hope. Old King Priam was killed with all his brave sons. Hector's wife Andromache and his old mother Hecuba and sister Cassandra were carried off as slaves by the conquerors. That is, they were taken as slaves by the Greeks. Their fate was in contrast to Helen's when King Menelaus rushed through the city looking for her and found her in a palace. She hung her head in shame and sorrow as she faced a former husband. Her voice was choked with emotion and she could not speak. But Menelaus forgave her and she went back with him. For it was only Aphrodite who had turned her heart away from her home and her husband and her child. Aphrodite is a Greek goddess who had convinced Helen to leave her husband, a home, and her child and elope with Paris. When morning came, nothing was left of the proud rich city that had resisted attack for 10 years. English Workshop. Word Register. Definition: a record of words related to the word given. Question 1. Prepare a word register of all the Greek and Trojan names used in the story. Here we have to prepare a word register for all Greek names and all Trojan names. The Greek names are Odysseus, Achilles, Helen, Ilium, which is the Greek name for Troy, King Menelaus, Agamemnon, Aphrodite, Iliad, Odyssey, Homer, and Greece. The Trojan names are Troy, King Priam, Hector, Paris, the Aegean Sea, and Mount Ida. Question number 2. Prepare a word register of all the words related to war in the story. Now, the words which are related to war are soldiers, enemy, attack, fortress, siege, battles, armies, heroes, fighters, fights, fought, defense, killed, taken, victory, peace, terror, death, armor, weapons, conquerors, arrow, and wounded. Question number 3. Note the following constructions carefully and then use them to express your own ideas, or using the following phrases make sentences of your own. Subdivision A. A horse big enough to hold men inside it. The stadium was big enough to hold the World Cup football match. B. The Greeks were tired of the long war. The people were tired of waiting for the flight which was delayed. C. They are afraid of the long voyage home too. The children were afraid of entering the old empty house. D. They made it too big to go inside your city. The table was too big to go inside the narrow passage. E. They were so excited that they paid no attention to his words. The children were so excited that they did not see the approaching vehicle. Question number 4. Put the following events in the order in which they took place. Number them accordingly. A. The Trojans found a Greek man under the big wooden horse. This will be serial number 6. B. They broke down part of the wall and brought the horse in. This will be serial number 8. The cunning Odysseus thought of a plan. This will be serial number 1. The Greeks burnt their tents and sailed away. This will be serial number 4. Troy was burnt down. Serial number 12. The Greeks built a big wooden horse. Serial number 2. The great heroes hid inside the horse. Serial number 3. The priest warned the Trojans not to break the wall. Serial number 7. The Trojans were happy to see the Greeks' ships go. Serial number 5. The Trojans slept soundly. Serial number 9. The Greeks came out of the horse and opened the gates. Serial number 10. And the Greek army entered the city. Serial number 11.